ASA. Game on Daily.
Okay, welcome to the world of Q&A, sir. This is episode 10. So, if it is your first time checking out the show, buckle up. I hope you have a good time. If it is not your first time, if you've been here before and you've come back and you don't have a good time, you get no sympathy from me. It's your own fault. You knew exactly what to expect. You know how this works. Loads of stuff to talk about today, actually, as we're still in the relatively quiet part of gaming news. They all slow down for the summer holidays for us, and yet the things that have dropped give us lots of topics to spawn off and have a chat about. Hey, that looks cool, Isla. Yes, this is almost as iconic as last week's game in different ways. I'm sure lots of people will recognize my background today, so if you are new here, the OST that plays is unique every week. The background also changes as often as I can. It is indeed a Blizzard game. I think most people will be able to guess this one. The OST, less so. But let's crack on. So before we get into the many topics, a quick word from our sponsor. It's Game on Daily. I'm our sponsor. Me and Gaz, we run Game on Daily, Gaz and I. And it's a news aggregation, community-centric gaming platform that I really hope that you will check out when you get a chance, because it is a fantastic way to get your gaming news. So we do have some original content on there, largely from our YouTube channel, but we also have content from all over the web from different creators. If you've got a website that you run, or if you just make content as a hobby, you can submit it here. You can create things natively here. You can filter by your platforms. And if you start making some friends, your news will start tailoring around them and what they're interacting with, so that you can join in with conversations with people that you care to talk to, rather than just the loudest voices as per some other avenues. Welcome along, KY. How we doing? That's enough. I'm back to me now. Sponsor is wiped off, although I am still Game on Daily to the core, so sponsor is still here with us. We always start with some games, because we can go straight into talking about what the industry's doing and speculate on who's making what money and all of that crap like that. But really, games are what I care about. So we're going to get in there. Patrick, once what? Oh, I wrote some articles once. More than once. First thing that I've been playing, you all know I always do this. VR. Skyrim VR. I don't talk about VR proportionally to how much I love it, because not many people love it, which brings me to the very first question of the day. What's keeping you all away from VR? What would it take to get you in there? Let's see, how does this work? Copy. So I played a couple of things and done a bit of troubleshooting, but the most recent pressed the button, I didn't mean to. The most recent was Skyrim VR on Tuesday, and it was a little bit of a disaster stream because my mods decided to play up a little bit. So we had lots of, why can I see the top of my own head? Now my hands are ginormous. I can't do anything. It was, even in its like worst case scenario where everything is going wrong, it was a brilliant time. I got to yell at some monsters. I got to hit things with an axe. I got to burn stuff. My favorite activities, and nobody got hurt. Not even me. I obviously have a quite... So we say niche. I have a quite niche VR setup. Not many people have got a treadmill that they can run around on, which is question 2. If you had the opportunity, and it's not practical for a lot of people, but if you had the opportunity to VR on a treadmill, would you take that opportunity? Would you run around like an idiot, like I do here? Oh no, this is me trying to fix my top of the head view and giant hands. We'll skip forwards a bit until I'm actually playing the game. Nope, still troubleshooting. Skip, skip, skip. There we go, I'm moving. You would definitely try it. Does it make me need to pee? It doesn't make me need to pee. It makes me sweat, so I never need to pee again. I can send you a treadmill. I do want to replace my treadmill with the newer model, so, you know, there might be one going before long, but it weighs something like 80, 90 kilograms. It's not easy to send in the post. But not a bad idea. So, Patrick, you play sometime 10% of your gaming time. So proportionally for me, partly because I'm running around and partly because you just have something on your face, I would say I spend less time in VR than I would sitting down for a proper pancake stream, pancake play session. Because you're not really going into VR for comfort's sake, you're going in there to get your mind blown. So I probably spend less time in there than I do on flat screen games, but I enjoy that time the most. What do you play? Oh, you feel like the placement of the waistband thing would squash your bladder. So it's a waistband thing on me. For you, it would actually strap around your face. Because I had the tall person version. Price and not enough good games. You thought about grabbing the Rift 2 before the price hike. Yeah, so the Quest 2 price hike is obviously meaning it's not a great time to jump into VR right now. And the number of games, there aren't enough coming this year. There's Bone Lab. Bone Lab or Boneworks? I've forgotten which one was the first one and which one's the sequel. But besides that, and besides what PlayStation are doing, there's not a whole lot coming to VR. So I understand the reluctance in that sense. I do think in terms of price, for the last 2 years, the Quest 2 was a phenomenal price as an entry point for VR, like for what it does. I don't know that VR will ever have a more appealing price point than it's had for those 2 years. It would certainly be a little while until it comes back down. Can they make The Sims in VR? I would play that. Don't see why not. I've said before, top-down kind of view for games works really well in VR. If you can get a good real-time strategy playing in VR, it's even like tower defense games and things like that. They're cool as fuck. So Sims, yeah, why not? Why not? You can go down on ground and interact with your I've never played Sims. I don't know what you do in The Sims, but you could do it in VR and it would be better. Much better. And maybe one day it will happen. EA aren't totally against VR. They've done a few bits and pieces. They've done that Star Wars Squadrons flying game, had VR support. They did a couple of things for PlayStation when PSVR 1 launched. So we'll probably see some more stuff from EA, so long as Microsoft don't step in and buy them. Skyrim can go now. EA would probably charge $80 for that, though. Plus, well, yeah, Sims and monetization is a whole different thing. What up, Mexican brother Tony? Good to see you. Good to see you. We're going to talk about your favorite game next. We're having a little chat about VR at the moment and what it would take to get you in there. You get mad at your sim for playing video games instead of doing chores or home. I've got children. What? You've just made Sims VR sound totally unappealing. Go and play your GamePass games. That's enough Roblox. Yeah, no, I know how that goes. The other one, though, that I've been playing that surprised me a little bit. So keep talking about VR if you want to, but I know it's one most people want to gloss over quickly. So we're going to move on to the next game, which has got a bit of buzz around it at the moment, particularly for the 9 to 22-year-olds. So the targeted demographic seems to be, and that's MultiVersus, which is massively a Smash clone to a point that it's borderline unethical. But we'll come back to that in a bit. First question is, have you played MultiVersus? We'll go high level. Have you played it? What do you think about it? I forgot that happens. AJH, welcome along. If you've just subscribed on YouTube, then thanks for checking it out. Join in with chat if you want to, or don't, which is a fantastic reminder. If you're here right now, you know how this show works. You can talk. It's a very interactive show, but if you're checking it out after the fact, don't feel like you can't say anything. Hit the comments, leave us a message. We'll either pick it up next week or I'll reply to you there. Comments are very welcome. They also help with the old YouTube algorithm and all the rest of it. AJH, isn't Bone Labs made by the Corridor Digital? I should know, but I don't. Bone Labs, the first one, isn't particularly good with the treadmill that I use in VR. So I haven't played it much. Boneworks is the sequel. It's, for people that don't know what this game is, it's a very physics-driven sandbox. And it's supposed to be, it's like one of the top games that you can play around in VR for the same reason as my precious Blade and Sorcery, in that you can just dick around with physics and it's fun. So it's on my list to play on the treadmill, but it takes a little bit of configuration, so I haven't got to it yet. I've got a lot of things on my list to play on the treadmill, to be fair. KY not tried MultiVersus, but you downloaded it for free from Epic. Now there's a question for you, KY. See, I was playing this yesterday. In fact, I should bring up my stream somewhere. I was playing MultiVersus yesterday with Isla on stream, and we came across a team that said in the little corner, it had that badge. It said they're playing on the Epic Game Store. Why? That's my question. Nobody in their right mind uses Epic, like, by choice. Unless there's a game that's exclusive on there or free, but this is a free-to-play game. So how come you're playing on the Epic Game Store and not on Steam? Are you like that one person out there that doesn't like Gabe Newell? So you're like, I'm going to play on Epic. Not that one person out there, because we met a team of 2 yesterday. You just download the freebies there every Thursday, so you just happened to be browsing around and you saw MultiVersus and thought you'd give it a go, because it is available on Steam as well, and on Xbox and PlayStation. It's on everything except Switch, where they decided that actually you Nintendo Switch players, you've already got this game, so you don't need it. Which we will come to. I do want to talk about like just how similar it is. Do we have a slur for Epic loyalists yet? Well, this is the first time that I've met one, so no, we don't. But chat's welcome to come up with one. What do you call Steam people, Isla? Do you have a slur for them? You got all your Nintendrones and Xbox and ponies and all that stuff that people like to shout around. That is a very good shout, Patrick. The 2 people that we played against probably were at Epic on their lunch break. Steam stands isn't like offensive enough. No, so the slurs, like I don't remember the last time I called anybody a pony or an Xbox in conversation, but for the sake of this conversation, we can label the Epic people if anyone can come up with anything. You can't see the hate over the Epic Store. Do they overprice games or have bad refund policies? So yeah, we'll get into that before we carry on with MultiVersus. Why not? So the thing with the Epic Game Store is that people are just a bit scared. The PC crowd in general are very keen on Steam and very defensive of that platform, which is why Microsoft have always struggled to have any success there. Even with GamePass going around, like Forza Horizon 5 was a top seller on Steam because PC gamers don't want to play elsewhere. In the case of the Epic Store, it's lighter on features than Steam is, and it's competing through money hatting. And you know how money hatting goes. Like, people like it when it suits them and don't like it when it's against them. So when they get like a year-long exclusive on Final Fantasy VII Remake or something like that, the people that are happy playing on Steam are not happy that Epic have paid for them to have this game denied. So generally, yeah, Epic do have, I don't know how much, I don't think it's quite as much as half. I think Tencent own about 40% of Epic, but yeah, a bunch of the money does go there, which I don't think is the reason that people dislike it. I think the reason is very much to do with the money-atting exclusives from people that like Steam more. KY uses Steam, Windows, and Epic stores. So I use, obviously I've got Game Pass, so if a game is on there, then first and foremost I'll use that. After that, I'll check Windows. There's not a huge catalogue on Windows outside of Game Pass, and I usually default to Steam. Epic, I've got nothing against it as a store. Like, I'd rank it higher than EA's own store and Ubisoft's own store in terms of buying games, but I just rarely remember to open it. It did, at one point in time, it had a really resource-heavy client as well, which was a pain in the ass. But that's storefronts, right? And that's what's going on with Epic. MultiVersus, tell me more. More of you have got to have played it. Tony, you've played it, and you said it was... I can't remember your exact words, but you weren't a massive fan. How far out have I got GamePass Ultimate? I am a month-by-month subscriber. No, I'm not. I'm a quarterly subscriber to GamePass Ultimate, I think. And I've not stacked any other deals. But we'll have more Game Pass conversation a bit later because I've got some plans to steer the conversation that way later. Evaporators for Steam fans. No, we're trying to come up with a name for the Epic fans. Unless... Oh, I don't know. So you've played it. So Isla, did you enjoy your time in MultiVersus? Look up. I'm trying. Nose Epicus. I don't get it. I'll take your word for it. So Isla's played as Finn. I play as Reindog. So if you're not familiar with MultiVersus, I was supposed to be getting some footage for it. I got distracted. MultiVersus is... what are they called? You know, it's Warner Brothers and all of their associated properties, which means at the moment you've got a little bit of DC Comics. You've got Superman, Batman, Harley Quinn in there. You've got Finn and Jake from Cartoon Network, Adventure Time. You've got... Oh, like Nose Pickers. I still don't get it, but you have it. I do get it. Okay, I get it. And you've got the best character of all. Taz is OP, so AJH has obviously played it and likes playing a bit of Taz. I had a look at Taz yesterday actually and thought this character's got some potential to be really annoying. But I play as Reindog. And what series is Reindog from? LeBron James, Patrick seems to be a very good character in there. Don't know, just doesn't appeal because I'm not American and basketball doesn't mean anything. AJH, yes, Reindog is a support character in theory. I don't use it very supportively. I just spam fire and energy balls. So Reindog is a curious case in that game because Reindog is from absolutely nowhere. It's an original character that they made for MultiVersus. So MultiVersus includes DC, it includes all of Warner Brothers stuff. They've got Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. You've got characters like Gandalf coming. You've got Rick and Morty coming. And obviously they own things like Mortal Kombat as well. So they've got lots and lots of IP that they can pull from over time. Answers on a postcard. Who are you looking forward to? Who do you want them to get in there? Oh, and Harry Potter. Yeah, Harry Potter's bound to be there, but everybody hates Harry Potter, so that's fine. Who do you want to see in there from their catalogue, if you're aware of their catalogue? Teen Titans, yeah. I'm assuming they could get all of that in there. I don't know who I want in there because I'm stuck playing as Reindog, the best character that there is, who isn't from any series, doesn't have any funny voice lines. Harry Potter, oh, AJH, I'm sorry, but I'm not a Harry Potter person, and no, you're correct that I'm British. There's actually a few other people over here that don't like Harry Potter very much as well. Not the entire country are full of children. See, like I just said, I'm not going to read that out loud because that'll get clipped as something that I said and it really isn't. No, I've never been a fan of Harry Potter. It started badly. It probably picked up as it went on, but not for me. Animaniacs, does that include... So there's some Looney Tunes characters in there. Animaniacs a fair game as well. Loads of characters in there, quite an eclectic mix at the moment, and they fight each other. And the way that they fight each other is copy and paste from Smash Brothers. Pinky and the Brain, yep, good shout. They should be in there as a team. So you've got Tom and Jerry in there that work as a team. Quite unusual mechanics for them, but duos are a thing. Mechanics-wise, though, the core mechanics of the game are so clearly and directly copied from Smash Brothers that it raises a few questions. The Smash Brothers games have mechanics that aren't necessarily intuitive and wouldn't make, like, there's no way that this team has arrived at the same mechanics without directly copying them from Smash. So as an example, if you're playing like a first-person shooter and you like things that they did in like the forerunners of that genre, so you got things like Doom and Wolfenstein and Half-Life, and you see that the way that the genre has evolved, and you can say, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that Halo is going to copy certain elements of storytelling from Half-Life. Or you could say when God of War 2018 came out and did its like single camera thing, you can see other studios looking at that and going, oh yeah, the whole not cutting the camera thing, that's a neat effect, that might suit our game. But these are things that like just make sense to take inspiration from and copy. MultiVersus, the issue that I have with the way that it copies is it's so specific and weird. It has and I've not played Smash much, so if I'm completely wrong about the Smash mechanics, blame everybody that hasn't corrected me up until this point. Just don't blame me. I take blame badly. But specific mechanics like when you're airborne in the game, you can dodge twice. You can use 2 of your Y button, triangle button special attacks, and you can jump twice. And all of that counter resets if you touch a wall. If you cling to a wall for a second, then you can jump twice, dodge twice, special move twice again in the air until you touch the wall again. And this kind of stuff makes no logical sense. So there's no way that they went, oh, this makes sense that Batman would be able to air dodge twice and then twice more if he touched a wall. It makes perfect sense for a game. They've very, very clearly copied Smash Brothers to a T. And that raises questions. Is that okay? Are we okay with that? Ethically, morally? Do they deserve money for copying exactly somebody else's game? Because on the one hand, if you're going to keep a game exclusive to a platform, like Smash Brothers obviously is for the Nintendo Switch, then you're leaving that opportunity open anyway, right? You're almost inviting people to say, look, we're not giving this to PlayStation and Xbox players and PC players, so if you want to, fair's fair. But on the other hand, they've gone in and absolutely copied somebody else's work and tried to make money off of it. If you did that in other creative mediums, you'd probably get accused of plagiarism. That's not necessarily true, because you can look at like films like Avatar that copied Pocahontas very directly, and you can say that's more than inspiration, you're copying the plot there. But this is the same game. Do Nintendo deserve profit for Mario Soccer? Tell me what your angle is there on that one, AGH. Do you mean because they didn't invent soccer? Or do you mean because Mario's been milked dry and Nintendo don't deserve any success for milking such a terrible, terrible character for so many years? The style of it. I mean, it's quite... Lord FIFA invented soccer. Lord FIFA ruined soccer if you're talking about EA's series of games. If the code is different, it's a different game. Is it though, KH? Because if you were to reverse engineer a game, like you were to remake Simpsons Hit and Run, the code can be completely different and you're getting that game taken down. I know you're joking, Patrick. No one credits FIFA for anything. They're remaking Simpsons Hit and Run, are they? I hadn't heard that. I'd heard that they struck it down from everybody else. Oh, you're talking about the unofficial project. Yeah, no, the unofficial projects for Simpsons Hit and Run get cease and desist orders and very serious lawyer speak very quickly. So I know there are some that are trying to do it again, but whether it actually happens, don't know. So AJH, you forgot the name of the game, but it's pretty much a 1-for-1. Well, then I'd say the same applies. Like copying games that directly. I mean, what do we think? This is an open question. I'm not the arbiter of truth on it. And I've played MultiVersus, and I've actually, this is a secret, don't tell anyone, I've spent money on MultiVersus. Only £7.99. I needed some of the, what's the ridiculous currency called? I needed some Gleamium. I needed some Gleamium so that I could have Finn as my announcer for the sake of the stream. So I can maintain your respect, Tyler, because what I actually spent money on was investing in a quality stream experience for my audience. Hopefully. You think for platform fighters is a proven formula is what works. So platform fighters, yeah, obviously. So who's played the other ones like Brawlhalla and Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl and whatever else? I'm as bad as Gaz on Apex. No, because it is all I'm going to spend. I'm actually, so if you haven't played MultiVersus, the setup for it in the way that it's monetized is very much from the school of Fortnite, with battle passes and stickers and dances and taunts and skins and voices and everything that you can think to customize, you can customize on it. And I very stubbornly refuse. So the game, as all free-to-play games do, it leads you towards sampling all of its systems so that you can get used to spending money. So it gives you some of its currency, its gold currency, for doing things like changing your profile picture and stuff like that, just to get you into the shop and have a little look around. So I very stubbornly changed my profile picture and then changed it back to the default one. I changed my whatever else you can change, banner, badge thing, and then changed it back to the default. I'm sticking with the defaults for all of the cosmetics, apart from that voiceover that I want. Gaz said he'd stop too after the first £1,000. No, I'm not. I don't do that. I'm very anti like microtransactions for cosmetics and the Fortnite model. I'm not. The game is free, right? And they need to make money to keep it going over time. I'm not actually completely against service games as a concept, which is why they can have my $7.99. They've earned that. But I'm not getting into the more manipulative, sinister sides of it. On a scale of 1 to Diablo Immortal, how bad is the monetization? Not nearly as bad as Diablo Immortal, but you can't gain advantages by spending money as far as I can tell. Diablo Immortal is a proper pay-to-win affair. And it throws the store in your face after everything that you do. Like, oh, you finished a dungeon, why don't you pay to get like a bonus roll on your dungeon loot? You beat the boss. For $1.99 you can open his treasure chest. Like, that's terrible. MultiVersus is a game that is free. It seems reasonably fair and capable of actually being free. Like, you can unlock characters by playing reasonably well, and I could have got through the whole game without ever spending anything, except that I wanted to change the voice. That's the one thing. It raises the price on the dungeon loot every time too. Oh, so if you actually buy it at the lower price, it says haha sucker, and just see, like, checks how high it can go. That doesn't. I wish I was surprised by that. I really do. And then when you stop spending, does the price gradually start sinking down to hook you back in? Oh, Activision Blizzard, we will be talking about you later. I think Bungie have got the best form of monetization. Have they? Because they sell expansions as well as having monetization in game, don't they? I've not played Destiny for a long time. Last I checked, though, they had you could buy expansions, but they also sold some kind of customization engrams and things like that. For me, I've always felt that if you're going to sell the playable content as expansion packs, that should be sufficient. You shouldn't be trying to nickel and dime beyond that. Activision Blizzard, there's certainly no news about that this week, right? We're going to come on to that. So it's funny, actually, there's actually barely any news about that, but a lot that you can take to talk about from it. So we will. You can earn the customization in game with Bright Dust. Again, I don't personally like systems that pit playing the game versus spending money to get the same rewards. Because for me, those games, particularly the ones that are like meant to eat your time, if they're going to hang a carrot in front of you as a reward and have gameplay as the way to get there, that can be a good thing, right? It can incentivize you to play the game. But as soon as you say you can do this, it's going to take you about 15 hours, or you can like spend an hour in the office and pay for it. That's a problem to me. Like, that already. Tony, stop teasing me. I'm pragmatic though when I play these games. I look at I look at it like that, and I think like that reward, I want it, but the most efficient way to get it is going to be spending money. Like I could do it the proper way, but I'd be a fool to do that. I hate you now. You've taken the fun away just by making me think about it in these terms. This game isn't fun anymore. And that's the problem that I have with a lot of monetization, to be fair, especially the ones that have consumables that increase your chance to get loot or experience faster and stuff like that. Yes, if my channel ever gets monetized, we can have all the emotes you want. Does YouTube do emotes? Yeah, it does. It does. We can. So subscriber count is slowly creeping up. Thank you everyone that is here that has subscribed. If you haven't already, I need more subscribers. Please hit that button. It's really helpful and it means we're friends. Tony, you are, just to clarify, so Tony has said in chat that he's heard a rumor that Sega is getting into VR. Anything Tony says, you can be 99.9% sure is just trolling. Tony, you're trolling, right? Good. Sega is a touchy subject. I want them to do many things differently to what they're doing now. Getting into VR is not one of those things, but it also is. They've got a lot to fix before I welcome them into my VR home. You absolutely hound your friends. Yeah, tell everybody. Tell everybody. Subscribe here. We have a good time. So, MultiVersus then. So we're happy with the copy and paste, or you take a Dreamcast Mini. Going into history, yes, I would also love a Dreamcast Mini. I would love a Sega Saturn Mini as well. The Sega Saturn had not a huge library of good games, but it had some good games that I want. And it's also, if you go back and play a Sega Saturn now, of which I have one by my feet right now, it doesn't hold up very well. So it would be nice to see Sega do something to touch that up a bit. Chelsea gets TikToks for my TikTok, notifications for my TikTok, even though she has notifications disabled for TikTok. This is why I don't trust TikTok and I don't use TikTok. If anyone's following me on TikTok, you're actually following Isla, but please follow NY because it's content that she makes around my channel and things. And TikTok, you know, I'm assuming if this applies to you, I'm assuming you are under the age of 12, in which case I'm not sure you're supposed to be here right now, but follow on TikTok. Yeah, why the F not? It's well polished and has its own original cast, and you bet they'll ship more characters than Smash will. Fair, like I don't disagree. The game is, it seems to, oh, well, I say polished. I've had a few issues with it in terms of polish. A few times that the controls just stopped working for no reason. It actually, funnily enough, when I secretly spent a little bit of money on it, it crashed about 4 times. So it went horribly, horribly wrong. Did eventually let me get my voice, but it struggled. So that's nice that they didn't like prioritize. Yes, I'm on top chat. That's nice that they didn't prioritize fixing the money systems over the gameplay. I am now on live chat. I will not miss any more messages. I might struggle to keep on top of reading every single one, but I will get there at some point. Woof woof. Yeah, exactly. That's what Reindog says. My main character. Let's see if I can find it. MultiVersus chat. We'll move on from soon. But did anyone play any of the other ones? Like the Nickelodeon one or the Brawlhalla? Or does anyone play Smash Brothers? Can anyone tell me what? Yeah, I am. Painful discourse. I'm not ignoring you on purpose. Top chat is very confusing. Every week, YouTube defaults to like trying to show me only the best comments, and it always shows me Tony's comments. So the systems are broken. YouTube needs to fix that. It needs to figure out how it's going to prioritize what's a good comment and what isn't. Because like rumors, Sega are coming into VR. YouTube, you're not paying attention. That's all I can say on that, really. It feels bad compared to Smash. Oh, what, the Brawlhalla? I've heard that that's bad. I heard that the Nickelodeon one's like was good for about 2 weeks and then everyone got bored of it. I don't know why. I played like half a minute of Smash and didn't like it because it's a Switch game and I don't like Switch games. Which isn't strictly true. I'm not like that pedantic, but I didn't really get along with it. The link that you put into a MultiVersus stream. Was this the one where we were doing well or where we were doing terribly? Oh, this is the one where we were doing terribly. You could have got the link where we were winning all the games. So we played it a couple of times, and at the moment we're at the point where Isla hasn't quite learnt the controls yet, so we don't win very often. I'm also not great at it, but Reindog is amazing. It's the one with your face on, of course, that's how you choose. This is my Twitch channel, by the way, so if you like watching games occasionally rather than just playing them, you can come and hang out on Twitch as well. That's Twitch and Twitch whatever.tv/ace_game-on-daily. It's a good place. You can come and play there too. Plus 100 subs. Don't know what that means. I'll take it. You said that Nintendo didn't pattern the platform fighter, so it's fair game. Okay. But like legalese, maybe that makes it fair game. Ethics and legal terms aren't necessarily the same. I know their businesses and they don't necessarily have any ethics at all, but Smash doesn't have 8-player online. I don't think MultiVersus has 8-player online either. Ethics in gaming? Oh, it should be. Everyone should have like integrity and ethics everywhere, which obviously isn't the case, and we all know from real-world experience that the people without it are the ones that succeed. But I will always champion like being a decent person anyway. Screw success. What are you without integrity? And I think it's fair to question whether MultiVersus necessarily has a whole heap of that. Ludonarrative dissonance, yes. Nintendo are also dicks about tournaments. So MultiVersus tournaments are probably primarily going to be Evo. So Sony-led tournaments, because Sony own Evo, who own most of the fighting scene, and they've already confirmed that MultiVersus will be there. So if you're an esports head, MultiVersus is probably going to do quite well. Ethics in the Chinese dev space. So HH, are you hinting that you want to talk about Ubisoft? We can come back to that later. We can come back to the Ubisoft thing later. I'm going to find my next topic. Unless people have more, so this is always fairly free-flowing. If you've got more that you want to say about any particular topic, just keep talking about it, and we'll get there. So, next up was... Wow, we're getting onto the Sony thing. You think Gaz made a video, but you're scared. Yeah, so if you haven't heard about the fairly strong rumours that Tencent are trying to get a controlling stake in Ubisoft, there is a video on the Game On Daily channel. It's only a few minutes, but don't watch it now because we're busy here. Watch it after the show. Just very quickly covering that story off. And some hints as to why it's good or why it's bad. You don't need to be scared of it, Isla. It's a fine video. You are more talking about their copy and paste. You can rank. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Okay, you're talking about... there's a little short on my channel for Spider-Human, things like that. Yes. Yes, there is a whole lot of unethical development elsewhere in gaming that somehow finds its way into some quite prominent game stores, but there we go. Spider-Human, don't touch it if you see it on the Xbox store. In case you were like silly enough to think it might be worthwhile. I downloaded it just to make a video on it, and fortunately Microsoft have a decent refund policy, so I didn't have to keep it. But yes, ethics are bad for business. Being good in life is bad for life. This is fact, and you do it anyway because it means more than success. I hope. Like, that's what I tell myself, and I hope that some other people are the same. Spider-Pig is not the same ballpark as Spider-Human at all. Spider-Pig is fine humour. So, let's get on to this little... Success is overrated. Thank you, Patrick. I'm glad. Sony complains about holding back COD from other platforms and stealing console sales, but pays for long-term exclusives to entice players. Ethical. Let's get into this little story. So, everybody knows about the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition and how it's going through regulatory boards all around the world, including Brazil. Brazil stands out in this story because they're equivalent of the FTC or whatever other regulatory boards you know about that try to keep things competitive and fair for the consumer. Their equivalent run very open processes. So everything that they are doing step by step is available on the internet, including most of the responses that they've had from publishers. So as part of their checking over the deal, they went to various companies in gaming to get their feedback, to allow them the opportunity to flag any concerns that they might have with the deal. Most companies, so the feedback includes Google, Amazon, Apple, like big tech companies, as well as the likes of EA and Ubisoft and Warner Brothers. Almost there. Tony gets points for the OST. Good job, Tony. Well done, YouTube, for not filtering out that comment. All of those companies said that it's not a big problem. Basically, they're playing nice. They don't mind. They don't have any massive concerns about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. They see that there is reasonable competition in against all of Activision Blizzard's big games. So Call of Duty is not a massive concern because people can play. Valorant was one of the examples that was given. World of Warcraft isn't a massive problem because people can play Guild Wars and Final Fantasy XIV. Diablo wasn't a problem because people can play, I can't remember what they said for Diablo, but other games alongside it. But Sony were the exception. Sony obviously looking at it from a very different perspective because they're a much more direct competitor to Microsoft in that particular space. And Sony said, essentially, Call of Duty is like a massive problem as far as they're concerned within the industry, that nothing can rival Call of Duty, nothing does rival Call of Duty. Nobody is capable of making a game that can rival Call of Duty. Even if they have the talent and skill and make a game better than Call of Duty, it won't replace it because Call of Duty is too entrenched in the mind of gamers, and it's a category all of its own and should never be controlled by the likes of Microsoft, basically. It's interesting. So, KY, it's interesting that you call it a straw man argument, because I actually find it quite difficult to disagree with them on that. It is normal lawyer speak. So this is the first, wind it back a bit. First thing to remember, a lot of people seem to struggle with this. These are massive corporations, not soap opera characters. I see a lot of people talk about how it is petty and bitter and all the rest of it. And it's not any of those things. It's businesses acting like businesses, and Sony are saying things that are in their best interest as they see it, which is to be expected. But, and I don't expect regulatory boards to necessarily be aware of this, but if you look at gaming over the last decade, what they've said about Call of Duty is unequivocally true, isn't it? Because people have been trying to dethrone Call of Duty for at least a decade. There have been games go up against it, and nobody can. Nobody can. Not even behemoth IPs like Halo. Microsoft will not release a Halo game near a Call of Duty title. EA have made... The Battlefield games were categorically better than Call of Duty. Absolutely, they were better than Call of Duty. And they never touched it on sales. So whatever you think of Microsoft and Sony as companies, when Sony come out and say Call of Duty is what it is, they're not wrong, are they? Where their argument sort of falls apart is it doesn't matter, right? Microsoft have already committed to releasing Call of Duty on PlayStation. It's still going to be available, it's still going to be the same game, and it's probably not a reason for any board to come in and interrupt the deal. But I see a lot of people dismissing it as silly and disrespectful to their own studios and things like that. So it's not. It's just they're just observing what's been happening in the industry for a decade. It's hard to argue against it. Yes, it's normal, but it's not meant for the public. Normal business speak isn't meant for the common man. Yeah, and you have to remember, Microsoft reading these comments from Sony aren't going to be oh, I thought we were friends. We were going to go to the cinema. They're so two-faced. Of course they're two-faced. They're public face, and what they're doing in the background are never going to align their businesses. You don't like gun games? Fair enough. Fortnite is a COD competitor to an extent, Tony. I mean, yeah. Fortnite is the first thing that managed to overtake it in a sense. It's a very different monetization model. But it's the first game that made Call of Duty adjust. You can see Phil and Jim going to see a movie together. I don't think that Jim Ryan likes to go out. But apart from that, I can see them like getting along just fine, but Jim Ryan's introverted and he'll just stay at home. He's like me. He'd be like, cinema? No, I've got home. I want to watch it at home. And they might play some games together. No, Jim doesn't play games. We've established that. I don't know, but they'd get along all right, even if they didn't go to the cinema together. You've probably used a gun mod in Minecraft. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. We've seen the pictures of Jim Ryan holding the controller, so yeah, probably not playing games. Animal Crossing should have a beat-em-up game. Are there any Animal Crossing characters in Smash? They did it as like Mii costumes, didn't they? Animal Crossing VR 2030. If they do it in actual VR and not like Nintendo Labo cardboard VR, I'll give it a go. So that stuff happened. So Sony said all of this about Call of Duty. Cult of the Lamb looks like a pretty awesome Animal Crossing like. I'm going to play Cult of the Lamb. I didn't recognize it as being Animal Crossing like, but it's a Devolver Digital game, so it's going to be worth playing. I'll see if I can find a trailer of that while I'm thinking about what we're talking about. So Sony said all this stuff about Call of Duty. So first of all, question for you. Who do you think can make a game to rival Call of Duty? We'll ignore Fortnite for the time being. But what can Sony do? So if Microsoft were to say, we were lying all along, Call of Duty is now Game Pass exclusive. Now, we're talking like Socom, or would they need somebody else to step up? Who can do that for Sony? That's question one, which is a short one. Battle Royales, I hope the Battle Royales go out of fashion. Damn, they've had too long. I'm actually genuinely amazed that Battle Royales are still popular, because they have their moments. But the thing with Battle Royales that surprises me is in games, like there's this secret thing that is normally a massive factor. People enjoy winning. And statistically in Battle Royales, most people don't win. They can't, because it's the rules of the game. There's like one winning team and 20 or 30 losing teams. So it really surprises me that as a genre it's survived this long when so many people will just not be winning. You accidentally invented Fortnite again. Fortnite, I don't begrudge Fortnite anything. Like, it's a game. It's like, obviously you can look at Fortnite's history and the way that it was a completely different kind of game until they decided to copy PUBG. But it's always had its own like level of technical innovation as well as massive cultural impact. So I don't really have any problem with it. Free to play monetization aside. But this isn't Fortnite. This is, who made Time Splitters? Free Radical. I think Microsoft are going to own the IP soon, right? Did Call of Duty steal Zombies mode from somewhere else? Probably. I think Call of Duty is where zombies were invented. Don't think they existed in media or entertainment anywhere else. And soldiers and world wars, actually. I think Call of Duty was responsible for all of them. Very creative writers. You think Bungie could make a game that rivals COD? For numbers, maybe. The COD style of game, I mean, the obvious candidates for making a game that feels like COD are Respawn, because Respawn pretty much are the reason that COD was good in the first place. So the creators of the good Call of Duties, Infinity Ward, their two founders split off from Activision, formed Respawn, took most of the good staff, and made the Titanfall games. And the Titanfall games had a lot in common with the good Call of Duties. And then they made Apex Legends for EA, and you all know the rest. They're apparently they're making a Star Wars first-person shooter at the moment, and something else. The other candidate that I thought would be thrown out is I don't know which studio, but Socom from Sony. is a game that could be revived to try and like keep that audience on board with their console. So, question 2. The reason that Sony are upset about the Call of Duty thing is they've said all this stuff that is true. They also speculate that Call of Duty is a big enough title that if it were taken away from their players, it would influence people to move over to Xbox. Call of Duty VR, of course I would be all over it, Isla. There's a Medal of Honor VR game, which is themed very similar to Call of Duty, but it's quite expensive. It's just like 50 quid and it had some problems, so I haven't tried that yet. Maybe I will. But do we have any Call of Duty players here? There's a question that's obvious that I haven't asked. Does anyone play Call of Duty? Read your other Call of Zombies. People were saying the Korean War, and having studied the Korean War, you cringe so hard. Wait, I'm reading these in the wrong order. You've thrown me well off. You see people asking for specific historical battles to be made into Call of Duty games, and it weirds you out. The whole, like, glamorizing war in the sense that games do has always been a little bit weird, but I don't know, you kind of get used to it. As long as you're, like, shooting Nazis and not the other way around, it's fine, right? Has to be. You haven't played it since Black Ops 4. I haven't played Call of Duty really since Call of Duty 2 on the launch of the Xbox 360. I'm not really a COD player. This is a lie, I did play one of them for like 30 seconds on the PC. I can't remember which one, but they promised dedicated servers on the PC, so I got the PC version at some point in time, went on there, and someone aimbotted the crap out of me, and I was like, well, this isn't fun, and I never played it again. I do think, so assuming the Activision Blizzard deal goes through, and all of the previous Call of Duty games end up on GamePass, I might actually go through the single-player campaigns. I'm not interested in the multiplayer for it, but I might go through the single-player campaigns. So you tried to play... Oh, you did play Call of Duty on the PlayStation 3 at EGX. You did fine. You survived longer than I expected. Which isn't to say, like, I expected you to be terrible, but given that you were just pressing things, not knowing what they would do, I think it went well for you. Call of Duty campaigns are good. Call of Duty campaigns are extremely heavily scripted. But I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think as long as you aren't looking for, like, freedom in how you approach a scenario, the Call of Duty games, I mean, I can't say that I hate scripted stuff. I just finished and really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's very scripted as well. Call of Duty is very Michael Bay bombastic campaigns, and I'd quite like to have a crack through them. They're normally I think they're normally like 5 or 6 hours long cinematic explosion adventures. So yeah, when they're all on Game Pass, I might just make a point of going through some campaigns. You're bad with guns and you get overwhelmed. See, I actually disagree. So Isla says she can't play first-person shooters, but she does play Minecraft, where you have a bow and arrow that functions like a slightly harder to use version of the guns in gun games. So it should be fine, really. Half the things I say to you while broadcasting are slaps. Yeah, it's fun. So... Oh, I'm bad with guns on a controller. Use a keyboard and mouse. It's fine. It's fine. So, next one is more hypothetical. No, you haven't answered the last one yet, actually. Maybe you did. So, hypothetical, right? I think most of the people that come here are Xbox players, PC players. Very few PlayStation-only players come and join in these chats, which is a shame, because I want to meet some more PlayStation people. I'm sure there are some reasonable ones around, and I think Gaz scares them away. But I'm not Gaz. PlayStation people can come and talk here. It'll be fine. I like the PlayStation as well. So, hypothetical. Are there any Activision Blizzard games that you would be sad to have taken away from your platform? So I know the player base feeling under threat is obviously PlayStation fan bases, but just put yourself in their shoes for a minute. Shoes on the other foot. Activision Blizzard are going somewhere else. We don't know what's happening with their games. Are there any Activision Blizzard games where you'd go, damn, they're taking away my Warcraft or Overwatch. I'm going to need to go to wherever those games are. And it's a weird hypothetical because there probably are some that I would follow, depending. Activision Blizzard are in a strange place for me because they've already lost a lot of trust. Well, exactly, Patrick. They haven't made the games that people care about for years. It's not so much that they don't make them. Like, I still think they're capable of making them. I think Diablo 4 will be a good Diablo game. But since they went to Activision, and this isn't to say that everything is Activision's fault, because if you look into all of the more serious allegations against Activision Blizzard, a lot of the kind of sexual harassment and terrible things like that were going on way into the past. But putting that aside and looking at their games, at some point in their relationship with Activision Blizzard, they started being really cynical with the way they monetize things. So I played World of Warcraft for a while, and it was like quite controversial how it was monetized, like from the off, because a lot of people were not interested in paying a subscription to play a game. It was like a ridiculous concept for some. But Call of Duty, World of Warcraft was greedy at launch because you bought the game and you had to pay for the major expansions and you had a monthly cost. And that was a lot for a game. Like, most games couldn't get away with that, but they justified it by all the servers, because servers were less common back then. All the servers and all the ongoing development and support and stuff. But it was still, to me, it leaned on the side of greedy. But today, they introduced, or not today, like over the last few years, they decided that's not enough for us. We love these subscriptions and we love that you have to buy the expansion packs, but we also want to put in a microtransaction store. And then they went, oh, other people are farming gold and selling that for money. You know what? We could have that. We're going to sell you the gold currency as well. So they just put every kind of monetization that they could think of in all at once. And then you have a look at Diablo Immortal and you go, yeah, this is what Blizzard are now. They're greedy and horrible. You look at Diablo 3, where they did the real money auction house, like, wow, they were well ahead of the NFT curve that everybody hates. Buy to own and give us a cut nonsense. And for that reason, I don't know that I'd necessarily follow Activision Blizzard. If they were taken off of the platforms that I have access to, I don't know if I would necessarily care, unless they were able to do good like they used to. Let me catch up with some of these comments. So, you think Diablo, Overwatch and COD will remain everywhere? Yes, Patrick. I also think that's the case, but hypothetical. Just play the hypothetical game. Because this is Sony's argument that Microsoft having control of them will sway people to go to other consoles. So if you were the player that was losing access to those titles, would you feel that you needed to invest in another platform just to keep playing any or all of one of those? Just aren't big on making yearly games apart from Call of Duty. Yeah, I don't need yearly games from anyone. That's fine. And I have a lot of history of Blizzard games. I played a fair amount of World of Warcraft. I never particularly liked that game, but I had friends playing it, which makes everything more fun. So I played a little few million hours of World of Warcraft, but it was Warcraft 3 that I actually liked, and Diablo, and I want to like Overwatch, but I'm not very good at it. And StarCraft as well. So quite a lot of Blizzard games in there. So AJH, Activision Blizzard are pretty much the Apple of games development. They don't massively innovate. They just take something popular and add their own twist and lock down the polish. Yeah, they normally, like most of their big successful games, did exactly that. They took a genre that was building up a cult following, but was not necessarily that welcoming for players, or had some counterintuitive mechanics, and they just streamlined them into games. But not in a cynical way, in the way that I talked about like MultiVersus earlier, where it's like, whoa, you've copied and pasted that very directly. Like, their input was worthwhile and made those games what they were. But yeah, that's when they were good. They used to do that. You think that Sony and me are trying to set way? Patrick thinks that what Sony and Acer are trying to say. I'm not taking sides here. Don't put words in my mouth. Is that even if a game is better, the name recognition with COD makes it unbeatable? Yes, Patrick. That's what Sony has said that I absolutely do agree with, because we've seen it historically for the last 10 or 15 years. I don't think that it's a reason for the deal not to go through, but I think it is a true statement that Call of Duty is well entrenched. Because it hasn't been the best game for ever. It's not worthy of the amount of money that it makes, but Sony should just copy the COD code and reskin it if they want the money. You say that, KY, but Respawn took the Call of Duty DNA, as it were, made a better game. It was a Call of Duty game from the Call of Duty developers, made better than Call of Duty. And it flopped next to Call of Duty because it was called Titanfall instead of Call of Duty. I asked for a studio, example Call of Duty Black Ops devs, Deviation Games, making a brand new shooter for PlayStation. Yeah, there are studios at PlayStation that can do things, whether new IP or otherwise. Hypothetically, if you were working at Sony, so this is Patrick, hypothetically if you were working at Sony, you'd make sure your studios were making a military FPS, a hero shooter and a looter. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're making a bunch of service games, and I'd be surprised if there weren't probably several looters and hero shooters and military first-person shooters. Yep, agreed. Evening, John, hope you are well as well. StarCraft Remastered is free on Amazon Prime. That's a good shout. My wife wants to play StarCraft Remastered. I will make sure that I claim it for when she eventually gets around to it. Titanfall 1 was Xbox exclusive and Titanfall 2 was horribly positioned on release. These are all true statements. But Titanfall is just one example of a game where, like, you can have the talent and you can make a better game than Call of Duty, and you can't necessarily challenge Call of Duty. And I would always say that Battlefield has been historically better than Call of Duty. Obviously 2042 was a bit of a disaster, but Stadia Pro is free for 3 months if you own an LG TV. Wow, that's good, because I had heard rumours that Google were planning to cancel it at the end of September. They can't give people 3 months and then cancel it a month and a half in. Tony said Valve is not a good competitor to Call of Duty with Half-Life 3 multiplayer and Counter-Strike Go and things like that. Interesting shout, Tony. I don't think Valve own Counter-Strike Go anymore, but it was spawned from them. But no, nothing is getting in the way of Call of Duty. You actually, so Tony, you gave the one title that has been disruptive in Fortnite. It's like, obviously not a first-person shooter in the same way, but it has disrupted Fortnite's massive hold on the market. So that's fair. That is fair. Let's carry on. Let's move on to the next little bit. Let me get my head together. So, the other thing that Sony said that I actually think was more important in Sony's complaint. The other thing that Sony said in their response to this Brazilian regulatory board, I didn't read your Spyro. Oh, Spyro is a game where you're not telling the truth though, are you? If a brand new Spyro game came out on Xbox, would you buy an Xbox? Yeah. Yes, that's interesting. Okay, then you are telling the truth. I take it back. I apologise for doubting you. I will let Phil Spencer know there is one more Xbox gamer available if they just make that game. Spyro would push you over the edge. There you go. And I mean, this could be the cat. Phil Spencer could go and like commission Toys for Bob to make a new Spyro, and then in 3 years' time when they release it, Isla could say, no, my cat typed that. It's not true. And Phil would just have to run home crying. And it would stand up in like any legal sense, because that's just the order of conversation that I can see in front of me. You want a new Legacy of Kain? Yeah, Embracer do own Legacy of Kain now. They have said that they're going to look into their back catalogue. They might do that. You never know. There's like a fair few people that call for it. Don't think it's going to dislodge Call of Duty, but I don't think that's what you meant either, so that's fine. Sony's response though, the thing they said that was more significant to me, like if anything is going to cause a problem, ask Jim Ryan to make Spyro. He can't. He doesn't own it for long. Well, he doesn't own it at all, but once Activision Blizzard bought, he can't make a Spyro. He can copy and paste it and make it like a flying cat or something. You want a new Animorphs game? Don't know the Animorphs game, I'll take your word for it. So the thing that Sony said in their response that is more important than nobody can make Call of Duty was they pointed out that Xbox Game Pass currently has 60 to 70% of the streaming market share of game streaming services, which is a number that we hadn't heard elsewhere, but not a number that I've got any reason to doubt. I don't think Microsoft have ever like openly spoken about how much of that market they own, but 60 to 70% is huge. So this will be taking a look at Xbox Game Pass relative to Google Stadia, PlayStation Plus's extra tiers, so not the main PlayStation Plus tier. They will separate that out as not a game streaming service. Luna, so Amazon's Luna, GeForce Now, and all of these smaller services as well. There are quite a few game streaming services available. If Microsoft have 60 to 70% of that market sewn up, we could say nobody else has really attempted it, but in terms of competitive behavior and market control, that's a big number. So if any of the regulatory boards have a problem with this deal, that will be where the problem is. And I think, I mean, I've said for a long time, the thing that works most against Microsoft, and this isn't me saying that the deal's not going to go ahead, although it's possible, but the thing that works most against them is that Google ran away with their tail between their legs as soon as Microsoft bought Bethesda. And if Google can't, like, if Google don't have the appetite or the money to compete in that area, then Microsoft have kind of already got control of it. And Microsoft consolidating that control of it could be anti-consumer and could be bad for the market. It's being a victim of their own success, absolutely. And you can say that Microsoft deserved that success. You can say, like, they've grabbed the bull by the horns and spent loads of money that nobody else could spend, made loads and loads of losses because they believe in that future. They've built the infrastructure that it's running on. They've done all of this. They've done all of that. But they have it locked down, and that's where the problem comes in. Like, if they've got to a point where competitors can't really get into that area, and this is an area that Microsoft themselves are saying that this is going to be like billions of gamers one day, then they might run into problems. Nobody else has really attempted streaming for consoles. For consoles, though, isn't important, I would say. So Sony's statement wasn't that Microsoft have 60 to 70% of the console streaming market. It was game streaming altogether. So that includes like the likes of Stadia and things like that that don't involve consoles. That involves the market that balloons past consoles one day, if all goes according to plan. Painful Discourse, you played Darksiders because it was so similar to Soul Reaver. Fair enough. Wasn't Sony already parading around their 50 million PlayStation Plus members there? So Patrick, they were. They are, but when it suits them, they will make a distinction between PlayStation Plus as it is an equivalent to Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus as it is a streaming service. And that's a distinction that makes sense. I'm sure it would suit Microsoft's angle to say, hang about, look, there's 50 million PlayStation Plus members over there. We're not dominant. Look at that. But it doesn't take much to point out where those numbers fall apart as a comparison. And Sony's numbers, so prior to the services being rolled up, the peak number that we saw for PlayStation Now was 3 million. There was at one point 3 million PlayStation Now subscribers, which is nothing compared to the 25-30 million Xbox Game Pass subscribers. What Sony have said in their last financial report is that after merging the services, so the new PlayStation Plus as a service hasn't grown. It's like 2% bigger than it was. They haven't said at all how many people out of that 50 million have gone on to the higher tiers, so we don't know. But it will be like the numbers in those higher tiers are the ones that regulatory boards will be concerned with. The Sony comment that it's not possible to make a Game Pass competitor in less than 4 to 5 years, as if Microsoft don't build up Game Pass for 4 to 5 years. Absolutely painful discourse. The thing that works against Microsoft is we all know that they didn't build it up with money that they were making on Xbox. And rightly or wrongly, I'm Game Pass isn't strictly an Xbox service, it is a cloud service. So if they're spending the money that they've earned through the cloud platform, through Azure, it's not necessarily unfair, right? Because it is a cloud service. So cloud service, spending money on cloud service, it's not necessarily bad. But if you look at it as like massive tech giant company is spending money that they made in a completely different market to dominate this one, that's where it can be frowned upon. PlayStation Now was an abandoned service. All Sony had to do was try sooner. Yeah, Sony's handling of streaming was weird because they were ahead of Microsoft in a sense for a while, in that they introduced streaming first, but they also, early days for PlayStation Now, their strategy was to bring it to more devices so you could stream to mobile phones and things like that. And they walked back that plan and said, actually, now you can only stream to PlayStation consoles and to PC. And the point that they walked back was a strange one, because they saw the same future as Microsoft are seeing, and then they started walking towards it, and then they went, yeah, so no, actually. So yeah, that's where they are now. But ignoring that, because I'm not the FTC, and I don't really care if the deal goes through or not, to be honest. I don't trust Activision Blizzard particularly, and I don't really mind if I'm playing them on Xbox or elsewhere. I'm very skeptical of everything they do, and I don't care if Microsoft own them or not. So I have no particular horse in that race. You hate the fact that you can only stream PlayStation games on PC and not actually download them. Yeah, I mean, that might change. The more PlayStation games get native PC versions, it might change. Hopefully, they should. If they want that service to do well, then they should expand it in as many ways as they can. PlayStation Remote was bad back in 2019, and you're not sure if it improves now. They've made some improvements to it. I've seen some people say that it's better than the Xbox One now, but I definitely couldn't say that firsthand, and I'd be surprised if it's true. The best streaming service in terms of quality for me is still Stadia. But that's in terms of streaming quality, and definitely not in terms of content. You'd like the deal to go through, but if it doesn't, it's a huge waste of time, given Xbox could have picked up some other studios. Yeah. What about everybody else, actually? So do you have feelings on it? Do you care if the deal goes through or not? Because I have my reasons for not caring. There's pros and cons. Obviously, if the deal goes through, I get a load more Game Pass content, and that's a plus, because everybody likes playing games that they don't directly pay for, which will lead on to another topic later. But at the same time, if Microsoft buy them, then that stamps out any chance that they would support VR in any way. So for me, that's personally a negative. I'd like to see Call of Duty VR. You want to see it go through? Nom 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 nom. That was a cold coffee. We must have been running the show for a while. Not even a hint of warmth in that coffee anymore. Xbox was almost dead last gen, and Sony fans said that Xbox isn't competing. Now they say that it's not fair, can't win. No, painful discourse. The whiny fans don't matter. You have to just look at them whine and go, nah, they're not people that matter. Don't worry about it. You don't care much for Activision Blizzard, but competition is good. Sony is still number one. Achievement get? What achievement, Isla? And Patrick's indifferent as well. So most people here seem to be fairly indifferent to whether it goes through or not. You think that the deal is happening and it's good for Microsoft and for gaming. Drinking the coffee, thank you. 50-50. Content is a great big plus. Not bothered about Call of Duty being exclusive. Do you know what I find really kind of irritating, actually, to be honest, is certain people that would consider themselves influencers are now saying exactly that. They don't care if the games are exclusive. They're saying so long as it's on Game Pass, it's still a win for Microsoft. Maybe it's even better than making them exclusive, because they're going to cost 70 quid over there and they're going to be free on Game Pass. Bean to Cup, yes indeed, AJH. It is good coffee. The same people had completely the opposite sentiments over Bethesda and ZeniMax. So I'm not going to name names because I don't want to, but there were people saying like, no, it's got to be exclusive. It's the only thing that makes sense. If you are spending this kind of money on a company, the games have to be exclusive. You don't put them on other platforms. And then they're patting themselves on the back because Microsoft said that's what they're doing. And then they get into Activision Blizzard and saying, oh, it makes all the sense in the world to keep the games multi-platform and put them on Game Pass. And it's like, be consistent. I don't like people that aren't consistent. I don't mind if you're right or wrong, but be consistent. Anyway, personal peeve. No names mentioned. Content is good. Call of Duty can be multi. I don't care. Like, everything can be multi-platform. I'm not a fan of taking games away from anyone. We've spoken. So one of the other episodes, I can't remember how long ago, possibly one of the first episodes of this show, we had a conversation about the value of games being exclusive or otherwise, and when it matters. And there are very specific occasions where it's advantageous for a game to be exclusive, but they are few and far between. Any Xbox game can be on PlayStation, just open it up to Game Pass. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that might be the future. You never know. It's a question that comes up a bit later on in this show, the value of these closed platforms and what Microsoft, Sony and Nintendo are bringing to it, how the industry would look without them. But we'll get there. That's the last topic of the day, pending like bring your own topic section, which we all love. I had more on this and I've forgotten what it was, but fortunately I've got notes. So, the big one. So the other thing that Sony said, I'm sure everybody wants to, or I'm sure everybody already has opinions on this. This is the main controversial point of everything Sony said. So the stuff that I've covered so far is the stuff that people like to argue about because they like to argue about things. But the big statement that's divisive, that has different people saying different things, is Sony have said that it is their opinion, their belief, and they've said this before now. They've put it in their response to Brazil's board or whatever, but they've also said in the past that they don't believe they should be putting their big games onto a subscription service because subscription services long term will be bad for the quality of games and bad for the consumer. Rephrase that as a question and tell me what you think. Does anyone agree or disagree strongly with Sony's take that long term subscription services will hurt the quality of games? Indeed. And I'm not going to say anything for like... In fact, I'm going to take this opportunity to have a sip of my other drink, because I want to see some responses coming for that one. What is my other drink? I'm running out of other drinks. This is a spiced rum and coke. So AJH says it's bullshit. No, Painful Discourse says it's bullshit with the strong words. AJH says that Forza disproves it. It's down to the capabilities of the developers. KY says no, subscriptions may influence game devs, but it doesn't mean the games will be bad. Kraken is not Kraken. I have had that in the past. This week my rum is not Kraken. This week it is Casario. I don't even know what that is. It's not a special one. Or I can't even remember which bottle I've used. I've got 2 bottles of rum nearby. It might be Old Hopkins. Either way, rum and coke. Not particularly high quality stuff, but it will do. Painful Discourse says, if you're only on PlayStation, you can still play any first party Xbox game on a browser or mobile. Yes, you can. Sony first party is locked on a console for 1 to 2 years. Yes, they are. Patrick says, since 2020, it's been happy with the day one Game Pass games. Everyone was just praising Stray as well. And John Dunn thinks it's an excuse and would depend on individual cases. It also depends if publishers and devs make a game to the level knowing it's on a... Well, yes, John. If they are changing development according to being on a subscription service, then that would sort of imply that Sony had a point. But rather than making what they imagine the game can be. And Tony, what do you think? So getting paid hourly from salary would change your work ethics. So I'm gonna try and lay out the merit in Sony's argument for the sake of conversation. And that is money. Like, it's all based on money. So all of these businesses, there was a time when everyone talked about sales like it was really important. Now, Sauron Grant, welcome along. Can't think why quality would fall when they're getting a steady income from subs as long as there are enough subs. Yeah, it does get complicated, and we are talking long term here, but the merit in Sony's argument is visible if you follow the money. So if you look at, I'm going to pause on comments and come back to them in a minute so I can lay this out on the table, because I know this is slightly controversial to kind of validate what Sony is saying. If businesses operate on money, so they can talk about engagement and monthly active users as much as they want, but ultimately money is the metric that they care about. And if you follow that through and you're looking at profits and losses, you look at the subscription services and how that money is divvied up. The issue, and not necessarily an issue, but if you consider the price of Game Pass, and we use Game Pass because it's quite expensive, we use Game Pass Ultimate, right? If you pay that in a year, it's $180, I think. So effectively, on Microsoft terms, it's the price of 3 AAA games. Microsoft are obviously, with Game Pass, increasing the total amount of revenue that they get. They're going to get more customers. That's where like accessibility and availability boost things. So it's not as simple as like people are only buying 3 games now. You're getting more people involved as well. So the money is going to increase a bit over what they were earning before. The problem is that that money is now split. So I'm sure everyone here has got Game Pass, and most of you are probably paying less than that $180 through various deals and things. But theoretically, we'll say everyone's paying $180. Are you playing more than 3 games on Game Pass in a year? Because if you're playing more than 3 games on Game Pass, then the per game revenue is diminishing. And this is Sony's angle here. They're saying, like, obviously numbers are completely different, right? Because you get a lot more people on Game Pass. An exclusive game might sell 10 million if it's a really good one, and Game Pass has got 25 million subscribers, so there's more money to go around. But that money, whilst being more, is also being split across disproportionately more games, which means in theory each of those games should have a lesser development budget, even though there's more money floating around because it's going across more people. And that's where the argument that quality can go down comes in. And it's definitely not that simple, because we all know from Game Pass that subscription revenue isn't the be-all and end-all, right? So people that are playing games on Game Pass are spending more on downloadable content, on microtransactions, on all of these other service things. But does that mean that as consumers, is that better for us necessarily? Is that not quality diminishing if we're just backloading the price of games? Long term, is that not going to be a problem? Like if the initial allocation of money for a game as a pay once product is now diminished, like if they're all getting a smaller piece of the pie now, does that encourage them to backload the game with transactions? So you're still going to be paying more for games later. And if subscription services lead us down that path where it is necessary for games to backload monetization, is that good for us as consumers? Is that what we want? And that's where Sony's argument has some merit. And I'm definitely not here putting my lot in Sony's corner saying they're correct, there's a problem, games as like subscription services aren't the future, we need to defeat this devil monster. But what they're saying isn't completely outlandish either, right? Like we can see that there is logic that backs up what they're saying, or not? Am I completely off the boil on that one? Now I'm going to catch up on some comments. Oh, I'm going to need to scroll on this. There's more comments than I thought. So Sauron Grant, can't think of why quality would fall when they're getting a steady income from subs as long as there are enough. Yep. Sony's making 10 games as a service. Painful discourse, I'm going to come back to that. Patrick, it lets devs take more chances not worrying about individual sales. That's true. We'll come on to advantages of Game Pass because there are definitely those I'm not. Like I say, this isn't me casting my lot with Sony's point. there are definitely advantages to the subscription service as well. Isla says investors. Okay, I've missed something there. So you're being robbed. You've only played Ember. That's your fault. And I can't remember if that was this year or not, but it was terrible. Don't play Ember if anyone's thinking of playing that, especially not on the Xbox. Tony's played 15 games already for his $180. So, I mean, as a consumer, that's great, right? Having access to loads of games is cool. We like that. Especially when we don't have to spend loads of money on them. It's great. If you're on Game Pass, you can still spend money on the platform. Yes. Less great. Maybe. Sauron Grant, you buy more games because you've been able to identify the games that you're happy to pay for. Yeah, it's useful in that sense, but that's in terms of the long term, what subscription services look like going forwards, I'd have some concerns over that model. But yeah, carry on. That assumes that all games are worth 60 to 70. Yeah, that's definitely a fair point, KY. A lot of the games that we're playing on Game Pass are smaller than that, and a lot of them wouldn't get any money if we weren't playing them on Game Pass. Absolutely. You've always thought that they could do a plus model for consistent. Yeah, AJH, I would much rather have a proper all-you-can-eat model where, yeah, you pay whatever extra and you get the additional content as well. That will be better for me, because I don't particularly like the backloaded fees and transactions. Painful Discourse is also a weak argument because currently Sony is making 10 games as... Yeah, we'll come back to the games as a service. You don't think that we can really say quality will diminish for another 10 years or so? Patrick, that I agree with. It's the whole quality argument. I mean, it's a long-term play. Subscription services today, and I can't remember who it was, somebody mentioned Forza already. Today, Game Pass is definitely not diminishing the quality of games. But it's also not... It's not dominant yet. Games aren't made to be on Game Pass yet. So, like, take Starfield as an example. Nothing about Starfield says this was made for Game Pass. Starfield was already in production and it's a huge, huge game. Budget be damned. And it's going on there. There's a lot of games there, but the impact of Game Pass in terms of what games look like can't be seen or felt yet. It just can't. And yeah, 10 years might be about the right time frame to really take a look back and reflect on it. Sony have increased the price of their games, but their income has fallen. Side point, I see some interesting things. I'm not going to actually. I'm not going to go there. That's for another day. The price increase we've talked about enough, but I've seen some interesting things that... Again, people saying things that perhaps contradict themselves, but we won't go into that. Too much of a side topic. Need a bigger sample size? Yes, we do. Tony says, well, look at who's the only one who has an issue with it. Goes to show only one thing. No, Sony. So, Sony aren't the only ones that have an issue with it. Take-Two have an issue with it. Before they got acquired, Activision Blizzard had an issue with it. Lots of companies say that their big games can't go on subscription services. It is very much Microsoft that are saying, yes, they can. We can make this work. So Ubisoft and EA put their games in subscription services, but not Game Pass. They put them onto subscription services that cost 120 quid a year and only have 2 or 3 games a year. It's a different ballgame there. A lot of the industry isn't fully on board with subscription services yet, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to get there in future as the industry shifts and the numbers get bigger. HAH, your thinking behind it is that instead of having the casuals that purchase just Call of Duty and FIFA each year, you now have a third game consistently being bought, and it's all internal for the most part. Yeah. Painful Discourse, you played 20 games this year and you still buy them. John Dunn's hiding what he said. That's fair enough. Subscription model is like for music and films, as it encourages volumes, sales, and yeah, versus per unit profit. It does, and whether that's going to totally work out for games or not is to be confirmed. So the thing that Game Pass does, the thing that separates it from films and music in a way that's kind of, it's a positive if you're the ones making money, if you're your Microsoft or whatever, is Isla, you can do a poll if you can go onto YouTube Studio. If you know how, you're very welcome to put up a poll. The reason that I'm always skeptical when I talk about Game Pass, and its future, when I talk about it with a skeptical point of view, it's very much to do with the additional monetization of games and how important that's going to be to the service. So I've already spoken, we were talking about MultiVersus, and we talked about various other games and my general disdain for free-to-play monetization and games as a service, whether there's merit to it. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. What have I pressed? No, I've lost chat. It's all gone wrong. I shouldn't have clicked on the poll, and now I've broken it. If I close this, is it going to disappear? Right. While I'm talking, I need to get my chat back, which has totally thrown me off. So yeah, I was talking earlier about my general disdain for like monetization of games as a service games, and it's not entire disdain. I've always appreciated that a multiplayer game that wants to keep on delivering content needs continued revenue. My concern for GamePass is that in 10 years time or whatever, when the industry has shifted and everyone is on subscription services and Sony have caved in and it's just the norm, games are going to be available on subscription services and hardly anyone's going to buy them anymore, then they will start backloading them with transactions more than they do today. And in 10 years time, subscription services might just look like free-to-play games with a weird premium price for entry. And maybe I'm paranoid. Am I just paranoid? Or is that something that the industry could do? I don't know the answer to that. I might be completely off base, but I definitely wouldn't put it past any of these corporations to make as much money as they can, however they can. If Sony was right, it wouldn't push PlayStation Plus. Well, PlayStation Plus is tentative steps at the moment, right? I mean, take God of War Ragnarok. In 10 years' time, if Sony is still making God of War and they make the next God of War, what mythology are they going to go to? I don't know. Let's say it's like Egyptian god. God of War, you have to defeat Set, the snake god, or whatever he's called. What's it going to be? Is it going to be backloaded with microtransactions? Are they going to tell the whole story? Are you going to have to buy DLC to see the end of it because the industry has shifted so much that that budget doesn't make sense for a God of War game anymore? This is Sony's whole argument, and I'm really can't stress enough, I'm not necessarily taking their side. I'm just trying to lay out where there's merit and where there isn't. Egyptian sounds better than Norse, honestly. Norse mythology has very much played out in that we've seen it in a lot of films and a lot of games, and everybody is aware of those characters now. It would be nice to see some Egyptian mythology. Chinese mythology is quite interesting as well, and I'm sure there are plenty of others that I know very little about and would like to explore. But that aside, God of War I use as like it's a marquee title for Sony, very polished, no microtransactions. It's a solid game that whether you pay 70 quid or not is another question, but it is self-contained. That's a game. That's the Sony model. Could a game like that still exist in 10 years' time if they're all on PlayStation Plus? Sarah Grant, you're not bothered with microtransactions, just mean that Gaz is paying for your game. Well, yeah. I still, like I said earlier, for me, when microtransactions are thrown in my face, it does take away my enjoyment. I love that about Guardians of the Galaxy. It never asked me to pay for anything. Elden Ring never asked me to pay for anything. I imagine Patrick say, yeah, Kratos paying to swing his axe. Imagine Elden Ring, like you could pay for the runes that level up your character or something like that. Pay 99 cents for a potion that makes you earn double runes for half an hour. Like, no, I hate the idea of that future. But it's what gaming is today in large part. You look at Marvel's Avengers, it's exactly like that. I don't want to see in 10 years' time that is the model, but you also pay a subscription to access them in the first place. It's ironic considering that Sony backed Square and they broke down Final Fantasy VII into multiple parts. You refuse to buy Final Fantasy VII because of that, and you also want your turn-based back. AJH, Final Fantasy VII Remake is really good. I'm with you, like I have the same point of view as you before playing it. I liked Final Fantasy VII. I prefer my JRPGs to be turn-based. I don't like Square Enix. I didn't like Final Fantasy 15. But Final Fantasy VII Remake somehow works. Like, it's really good. And I would also prefer, this is the most disappointing part, I'm not going into story or anything spoiler territory here, but the most disappointing part of it for me is that the way the product is contained, it will never be that one complete game that you want. It's not positioned in a way where you can keep your save file and part 2 will be like, I'm starting disc 2 now. You get to the end of Remake and it's like, hey, now you can replay the chapters and do some other crap. And it was sad. It's like, oh, this is never going to be a singular Final Fantasy game, but it is really, really good. In fact, that's why I'm wearing my t-shirt. Multipart's been a cash grab. Well, KY, that's not entirely fair. Because development budgets are just not similar to what they were. Like, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a full damn game, like, compared to current modern standards for games. And by the time they've made the second and third part, it'll be 3 games worth of game. So I get that we want things to be like they were, but... And I'm not a Square Enix cheerleader by any stretch. I think it's magical damn fluke that Final Fantasy VII Remake is good. Like, all the odds were stacked against it being anything good, but... Exactly, Tony. You're right. We don't know yet what might happen. It's a possibility, but games are strong and there is so much going on in the industry outside of the big 3. Yes, there is, and it is... This is where subscription... This is where things will change and where Sony are possibly wrong, is that with subscription services comes massive industry growth. So everything that I've said up to now, and this is why I was really clear when I say I'm not casting my lot behind what Sony are saying necessarily, the numbers change entirely when there are 5 times as many people playing. So, okay, for me, if I'm paying $180, pretending I spend in dollars for now, if I'm spending that $180 but I'm playing 15, 20 games, the numbers currently don't work in favor of those games at all. But if there were 10 of me, because gaming has grown that much, if there were 10 of me paying that $180, now we're talking money that compensates for the extra games. If there were 10 of me playing those 20 games, now subscription services are paying those games more than base sales. So the long-term play, and it might sound silly saying 10 of me, but this is Microsoft's ambition. They talk about 2 billion gamers. At the moment, a console is lucky if it gets to 100 million. I think Nintendo Switch is at 111 million now. The long-term play is to expand the number of people paying that amount so much that it compensates for all of those things that I've already spoken about. So on the one hand, I'm saying Sony's numbers make sense. They're right. Like today, if they moved God of War Ragnarok and its ilk, like the games for the next 3 years, we'll say, if they were to put those day and date on PlayStation Plus, it will ruin the bottom line that those games make for the time being. It would hurt them. And if they were to base their development plans and strategies on those numbers, it would hurt the quality of their games. In 10 years' time, when Microsoft have ideally succeeded and got 10 times more people doing it, that's a whole different story. Then Sony could make a God of War, and people playing it could play another 19, 20 games that year, and they would still have the money to maintain those development budgets across all of those games. So this is what I was trying to get out when I was saying that I was trying to say where there is merit in what Sony's saying, is that it lines up with current maths. Like, they're not completely out of their minds, and that the reason that I put their point forwards first is obviously most podcasts are quite Xbox centric, and most people are entirely dismissive of what they say. Like, it's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense, and that's not right, because it makes a lot of sense. It's just short-sighted, is my opinion of it. And that's not to say that Sony is short-sighted, because I'm sure they've done the napkin maths, and they know that when it reaches a certain size, pendulum shifts and everything changes about gaming. Compare VR and subscriptions. Similar barriers to entry. KY. Oh, Peter Morland. You know what? I went to see Gaz the other day. He's winning a nipple off competition. I don't understand. If you ever see his videos, he's like, why are your nipples always doing that? Calm down, Gaz. That's not the topic right now. Don't clip that. But keep an eye on it, because something's not right. A lot of people buy the games played on subscription if they like them, and a lot of third-party games are not on there ever. So Painful Discourse, that's true of games that come off of it. People that are like particularly long-term when the numbers grow, people that are playing games on a subscription service and then buying them as a show of support, that will be a tiny minority. Like, there's never going to be a lot of people that have access to a game and pay for it in a way. I know that there are some people that do that, but I refuse to be convinced that there are many. KY, what do you mean by the barriers to entry for VR games and subscriptions? Nipple clips was your nickname in high school, Patrick. Nice. Nice. Not going to ask why. So Patrick, so you can agree that what Sony said makes some sense. This is all I'm saying. Like, obviously most good podcasts, it's a weird thing. There aren't many good PlayStation voices to listen to. So most of the feedback that we see on podcasts and on Twitter is entirely dismissive of everything that Sony say because they're Sony and they can't be trusted. And all I'm saying is what they're saying checks out with current numbers. Long term, 10 years time, and I think Patrick, you said we'll know in 10 years time. That's the right kind of number. And my skepticism of it is that because corporations are so greedy, my skepticism is that in 10 years time games will look more like today's free-to-play games than they will look like today's £70 games. But we'll see. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for subscriptions to just make so much money that it enables all kinds of different experiences, like long games, short games, anything in between, episodic games, all of that, and they can just work because there's enough money to go around. But I'm always skeptical of corporate greed. And I don't want it to be so normalized that because a game is on GamePass or other services, I don't want it to be so normalized that because it's on a subscription service, it's fine to pay for DLC and microtransactions and all the rest of it. Because to me, I don't want that to be the normal. Sometimes it fits and sometimes it doesn't. Patrick, you think we'll get both still? They all have their play. I mean, that's the other thing with subscription services at the moment, is they don't cater to everything, right? Game Pass has 450 odd games on it, maybe more than that now. PlayStation Plus, I think they say 700 or something, but older ones. There'll always be, hopefully there'll always be, no, that's not true. I don't know if there will always be games that don't go onto subscription services. If you look at the indie scene now, it's very, very difficult for an indie game to get any attention unless it's on Game Pass. Like on the Xbox storefront, there are exceptions, like Death's Door did well, but most games that release outside of Game Pass without a big marketing campaign are buried forever. So yes, Tony, Elden Ring definitely got attention. But 10 years time, when subscription services are how people play, well, Among Us is free, Isla, so it's a different story. Minecraft predates subscription services by a long way. Subscriptions make sense to entice new games because of low entry costs and range of games. Yeah. You've got 200 PlayStation games, but made the Xbox Series X your main after Sony started shafting its players. When you say Sony started shafting its players, do you mean the £70 thing? The extra next-gen tax? I touched really briefly earlier on some things I've seen that were funny in that regard. I saw some Xbox personalities that I like. In fact, it was partly on Colt's video. And I like Colt, and I like Hagi, and people like that. There's a lot of people that excuse Microsoft's shortcomings by saying like the reason they don't have any games this year is partly because of COVID and partly because games take 5 to 6 years to develop now. And these were the words that Colt used in his video today. 5 to 6 years to develop a game now. Whereas in the Xbox 360 generation, he says they took 2 to 3 years. And that's fun to, that's interesting to say. On the one hand, games take twice as long to make now. So the development costs have gone up to 2 times what they were. But a £10 increase in fee is unreasonable. And I just like, that's an interesting little perspective. And I will say, I don't like the £70 games. I think they should be a lot cheaper. I've said many times. But people that are against it are almost justifying it. There's no fight. I just think it's funny. I'm just like, whoa, whose side are you on, Carl? Are they costing twice as much now or not? Next, Rockstar. Wait, we're speaking of indies. You do remember some speak about a Cult of the Lamb trailer? Yeah, I did promise, didn't I? I did promise. Oh, I've got that weird happening again where I'm going to bring it up for mindfuckery, where YouTube has been auto-playing and it's eventually auto-played me, so I can do this again. It's going to become like a once-a-show epidemic. Ah, it's so confusing. I can go for now. So, AJH, you've never liked the argument because we hear game development costs more while consistently being told that game and engine tools are making dev time shorter. Yeah, and both things are kind of true. Like, engines are getting more efficient. Dev times have got longer. The problem I have with games going up in price to be 70 is that I don't believe that they sell more at that price. So, like, distribution has changed as well, which offsets all of it. Physical distribution is irrelevant now. It shouldn't cost the same as digital. It's obviously not entirely irrelevant, but game prices shouldn't be beholden to it. And I don't think games costing £70, $70, 70 money is okay at all. But it's unexpected that the people that most justify it, like with the best argument in favour of it, are Colt Eastwood and Hargeet Cheney. They obviously don't mean that to be the argument, but it's almost there. Engines are more efficient, but games are exponentially more detailed now. Yes, Patrick, they definitely are. Price increase not justified as the market has increased. Yeah, market's increased, distribution has changed. GameSpot aren't taking 30% of everything anymore. They're not shipping materials, they're not getting discs printed. They are, but it's not significant. Digital games shouldn't cost 70 quid. Tony, thank you for repeating what I said. Cult of the Lamb. This is completely, like, off the topic. You can, by the way, like, I don't get many people telling me I'm a twat. More people... I know some of the things that I say are not popular opinion. And I know I'm also... like, I'm pretty unbiased when I look at these things. But when you disagree strongly with something, yell about it. I'll appreciate it. Some of the stuff that I say, not even I agree with. Like, it's just open discussion. So, not enough people are calling me a twat. Thank you, Isla. If you have the opportunity to vote in this, to vote in the current poll, and you say yes, it will hurt. This is apparently Animal Crossing on screen at the moment. It's Cult of the Lamb. I'm going to blow it up here. Why not? Why not? And I like it because it's Devolver Digital and they have magic tasting games. It's a lamb that's killing stuff, and it looks like it plays in a similar vein to Hades. It comes out in a week or two. It's quite soon. I think it's the 11th of August maybe. And it looks great and I want to play it. It's not on Game Pass as far as I know, so it's a game to buy if you want to. And it's there on screen. Tell me what you think of Cult of the Lamb. You're getting it. It's coming out a very similar time to 2 Point Campus, which is on Game Pass. Oop. 2 Point Campus is a game that I tell myself I'm going to play. But I've also been telling myself for the last 3 years that I'm going to play 2 Point Hospital. which appeals more than 2 Point Campus, and I haven't got around to it yet. So who knows if I'll get to that. But that is on Game Pass, so you can all play it if you want to. There's also Rocket League Golf is out now on Game Pass. So if anybody wants to play that, I'm probably playing that after the show. It is copy and paste of Rocket League's like core mechanics. But yeah, I think you'll have your own ball and it's like a race through a golf course. So, Gaz, tell him... No, I don't think Gaz is actually aware of the nipple thing, so don't repeat it. Leave him in the dark on that one. What's it called? Turbo Golf something or other. We're going to play that. I'm going to play that possibly after the show. If you're not aware, I'm on a different podcast in a couple of hours. So at 1 a.m. I am on Behind Them Sticks, which means I'm going to have a couple of hours free to play some games, and I'm going to be having a go at Turbo Golf Racing. So if anyone wants to jump in, it's 2 to 8 players. Don't think I'm going to stream it today because my butt hurts and I need to move around a bit, but that'll be happening soon. Turbo Golf Racing. Thanks, Isla. Gaz is a nipple clamp. It's them teeth. Don't worry about it, Gaz. Don't worry about it. You legit thought that it was going to be free to play. What was going to be free to play? The Cult of the Lamb? No microtransactions in there. It's a proper game. AJH. Lucky Squire's not as soon, is it? So AJH has drawn attention to Devolver Digital's other Magic game that people are excited for, the Plucky Squire. I don't think that's coming out as soon though. I don't think people have necessarily forgotten about it. Peter Morland says, I'm the grounding force in Game On Daily. Yeah, good. We do need it. Otherwise, who knows where Gaz would go, but I'm not sure he'd still be alive. Game Pass, the Netflix. Well, Tony, I'm not going to get into that. I would guess, I mean, the most direct blockbuster comparison has to be Gamefly, no? And aren't they already dead? Did Gamefly go away, or can you still do that? Oh, so AJ thought the golf racing game was going to be free to play. So the golf racing game doesn't look good to me. It looks inferior to Rocket League. So if you haven't seen it already, I'm not going to bring up a trailer because I'm getting lazy now. But it literally, in the game description, says that you can boost and jump and flip these cars. It basically tells you it controls like Rocket League without using the words because they're not allowed to. Drive a Rocket League car, but the aim of the game is a bit different. You've got to hit your own ball into a golf hole thing. We'll find out in a bit because we're going to play it, see if it's any good. Patrick, Devolver Digital is great. You see them continuing to grow and fill some of the void left by ABK. So far, Devolver Digital, though, they don't go high budget on their games. They have a magic talent for picking good ones. I think probably their biggest budget game must be the Shadow Warrior series, maybe. Like, those are fairly polished in terms of development and budget, but they're not close to the likes of an Activision Blizzard game. But they do have a knack for doing good ones. Whoa, Painful Discourse. I said happy birthday to Gaz and he's so close. Battlefield 2042 is $10 on Gamefly. Battlefield 2042 will be available on Game Pass within, well, before the end of the year. I'd say within the next 2 months. Not because this isn't like Mystic Prophecy, like EA games go onto Game Pass, we all know that. So Game Pass, Battlefield 2042 is due in soon, I would say. Anyway, I'm wrapping up at the moment, so if anybody has their own topics that they would like to bring, we've already had, so Tony got the points for the OST, Isla's already called the background, but that was before anyone was here, so there might be other points available. It's a bit of an easy one this week. I think most people will recognise it. Fairly iconic game. What do you mean, no, don't? So Patrick is like talking about Battlefield 2042 being $10 on Gamefly. More to point out that they do still exist. They haven't gone the way of Blockbuster yet. I didn't actually know that Gamefly sells stuff. It makes sense. It makes sense that they would sell them when they've stopped renting them. But they'll surely die soon, right? Like Sony's number said that 80% of their fans are buying games digitally now, and they were like the last stalwart. Nintendo was going to be the very last stalwart with their little cartridges. But even Sony fans have shifted very much to digital now, so games like can't last much longer. Gaz, did you finish Hollow Knight? Yeah, Gaz, did you finish Hollow Knight? I started Hollow Knight and I hated it. Hated it. Isle has read that. I should never say I'm wrapping up. It makes the VOD watchers leave early. VOD watchers, if you've lasted this long, you're welcome to go. Good job. So, thank you to everyone that is here right now. If you are watching after the fact and you didn't disconnect as soon as I said I was wrapping up, leave a comment to say something, whatever you want. I don't know, just say stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, tell not just your friends, tell some random strangers. Run outside and yell about it, because I do need like bigger numbers. It will help. KY, you replayed Hollow Knight again after I dissed it last time. See, I'm helpful. Look at me inspiring you to go and do things. But I still hate it. Yeah, like, I know a lot of people like it, but I don't get it. Peter Morland, you're not that far through Hollow, but thinking of giving up soon. You probably got further than I did. Get charm upgrade, so you get more mechanics to the controls a bit later on, do you? Charms let you do more. That'll be useful. John Dunn, thank you for coming by when you could. It's all good. This is done. There might be a show next week. There might not. 60% of people voted that I'm a twat. The end.
Asa, Game On Daily.
Not really. I'm not grumpy, but we are going to wrap up now. And I will go and strop in my own time. Even if you voted that I'm a twat, I appreciate you being here and interacting. I don't know for sure if there's a VR stream tomorrow. I think there probably is, but there's some plans that may or may not disrupt it. And Go Live is definitely taking place this Saturday, 9 o'clock. I know I told you not to call me a twat. You got to listen more carefully. If you think I'm a twat and you're watching this after the fact, go into the comments. You might want to censor it. I don't know what Google will make of it if you call me a twat. But call me whatever you want. It's fine. And I will see you all next time.
Asa, Game On Daily.